Hello and welcome to Black Cats Chat, the international fans podcast for Sunderland AFC. My name is Lee Thirkel. I'm from the Bilbao Black Cats, and today we've got two special guests. Well, I call them special because they're my mates, and they've both got their own talents. First of all, we've got Bulgaria's finest whiskey drinker and number one sports commentator for the Premier League. It's Dan Dimitrov. Dan, how are you, mate?
First of all, I'd like to say that I'm nothing special. There's nothing special about me.
Nothing special about me either.
Second, it's a pleasure to take part of this, of course. I mean, I can never get bored to talk about Sunderland with some other Sunderland fans from all over the place, whether they're foreign or local, doesn't matter to me. It's always a pleasure to talk about Sunderland.
Yep. Well, Dan, I mentioned there that you were like a sports reporter as well, because last weekend you sent me some pictures. You were doing a live pitch-side reporting for Bulgarian TV down at Stamford Bridge in the Emirates Stadium. Tell us about that.
Every now and again I do that for the equivalent of Sky Sports over in Bulgaria, which is called they're different channels showing lots of football, mainly prioritizing England and the Premier League. And I've been working for Bulgarian TV a long, long time in the past. And I keep doing bits and pieces for them when they need to. So this time we tried pitch side, and I was taking some interviews after the games. And it was quite exciting time for me to be able to do that. And I wish I can do it when Sunderland is back in the Premier League.
Fingers crossed, mate. I'll tell you what, in that, I think it was the Arsenal game, you look like $1 million, mate. You look like a hitman. I tell you what, you've definitely got the features to be the next Bond villain, as I said in our WhatsApp conversation.
This is turning into a comedy show.
Well, we've got to be positive. We've got to try and lighten the mood, haven't we, before Friday? We've had a shit end of the season, so we may as well try and lighten it up a little bit. Anyway, thanks, Dan. And we've also got our other sports commentator, because Dermot is also not a stranger to commentary. Dermot Ledwith, he's in Madrid. Dermot, you've also got a background of live commentating, haven't you?
Yeah, I've done a bit in Spain over the years. In a previous job, I worked for Real Madrid and used to talk about Cristiano Ronaldo on talk shows, and because I played a bit of Sunday League football for a pub team, so I could talk about the technique of Ronaldo and these guys as well. So yeah, and I still do the odd bit of commentary. So it's good to see you, Dan. When you go and live in a foreign country, you can turn your hand to these kind of things, and I've done a bit of the same in Spain as well. So yeah, I mean we're obviously.
Oh, Dermot's got his connection problems again. He's talking like Optimus Prime from the Transformers. Dermot, sort your connection out, lad.
Well, experts in weekend in his house. Is that better?
Yeah, it's getting there, yeah. But anyway, yeah, you work for Real Madrid TV, and you've also done like Copa del Rey matches, haven't you? Things like that. Yeah,
I still do the odd. I still do a bit of moonlighting for the Spanish Cup. Do a bit of that. It's always interesting to go into a stadium as a neutral and watch a game. But yeah. But the big one's coming this weekend when you're watching your own team, and you get really worried about what's going to happen when you're in neutral. You don't care. You just want the game to end so you can get off home.
Yep, exactly. Right, Dan, then. So 46 league games, 4th place, 76 points. How do you assess the season, the league season?
Well, we should go back to the beginning when our thoughts were like how we ended up last season, and it was a disaster. So what I thought was, are we going to repeat that? Can we build on that? Can we go and finish like top 6? And if someone said to me in the beginning of the season, playoffs, I would have taken it. But there's always a but, isn't it? The thing is, when you start and see how the season unfolds, and we started playing really well, I was extremely pleased with the way we were playing in the first few games. I mean, even half season. And I thought, well, what a great job the club is doing. We're getting these youngsters, they're flourishing, and they play some attractive football. Some of the goals we were scoring were like a top level. And if they were scored by Barcelona's or Real Madrid's, people would talk about it for days. But if we score them, they seem to forget that. And saying these things, I'm trying to say that the season started really well, and we were like optimistic, and everything was like the puzzle, like all the pieces of the puzzle were going into place. And then, typical Sunderland, a few decisions. Mikey Dodds going to Wycombe Wanderers. We had a few other problems and injuries and stuff like that. And then you could see the team fading away, like slowly picking up results. But the way we were playing was nowhere near what was in the beginning. And then I started to worry. And like we had a few discussions with yourself, and we were worried about why this is happening. Is it just Mike Dodds? Is it like something else? And then coming to the end of the season where we had 5 defeats in a row. I mean, no fan in the world should not worry about this. I mean, especially when you know what's happening now, what's going to happen. You're playing playoffs. You need to be in a good shape. You need to have confidence. You need to show the fans that you believe in yourselves and you're picking up the results. And if you don't pick up the result, I mean, play decently. But where was that in the last 5 games? I know people will say red card against Bristol City. This was a bit unfortunate. But things like that happen to any team. Against Oxford, no shots on target. We were absolutely atrocious. I mean, QPR at home, a really bad team. Sorry, QPR fans, but like a team to beat for the fans, for the home fans, last game of the season. How disappointing is to lose 1-0 to these guys?
Yeah.
I mean, the frustration is building up.
Yeah, and Dermot, I mean, Danny mentioned there, if you'd have given them 4th place, 76 points at the start of the season, you'd snap your hand off, wouldn't you? But has the last 5 results taken a little bit of gloss off the season in general as a whole?
Well, I'm going to take it from the other way around. You know, it's what Danny said as well. He said, you know, we would have took the playoff place at the beginning. We comfortably had a playoff place. We've had a playoff place for the last 10 games. We knew we were going to come 4th when we lost at Leeds in the last minute. We could have got a 3rd maybe, but we were never going to get the top 2 from that time onwards. And that was a long time ago. So, yeah, it does take the glass off the last 5 games, but I'm hoping and thinking that, you know, professional sports players at this level, this elite level of football, just when they know they're in 4th position, and I'm hoping this is the case, they've obviously took the foot off the pedal. They've been on the beach. They've been pulling out of tackles. They've been trying not to get injured. He's been resting players. All of these reasons why we've lost the last 5 games. I'm hoping we can, and, you know, I've read this phrase in the, you know, on the fanzines and on the, you know, on the chat rooms and whatever, flick the switch. And I know it's hard to flick the switch and be the team that we were 2 or 3 months ago, but I'm optimistic that, you know.
Oh, Dermot, you got the connection problems again. But Danny, I'm going to come to you on that because you're kind of like
5 defeats.
Danny, you got a bit of like optimism the way we started the start of the season, a bit of delight, no? But has a bit of that optimism disappeared because we're going into the playoffs with a loss of momentum?
Well, I'm afraid it did disappear a bit because it's not only the last 5 games. It's I think it's probably from November, December that you could see the form dropping progressively. And probably the killer games were the one away to Burnley where we missed 2 penalties and hit the woodwork. And then the bitter defeat by Leeds in the last second of the game. Perhaps these two games like sort of snapped the back of our team. I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, it's a psychological moment, but my optimism is evaporated massively, and I hate to be negative. I hate it, but unfortunately, I'm more of a realist, and I could see that. I'm afraid to say it, like right at the end, to sort of boil it, bottle it. I hope I'm wrong, of course. I hope I'm wrong, and not to mention the fact that we played Coventry that we haven't beaten in 15 years. And
yeah, but I don't think you can say. I don't think you'd say they've bottled it. They've been in fourth. They've guaranteed a fourth position a long time ago. And I had the same argument with someone this week. They said we've been terrible since January. You just said November, December. We haven't been terrible since November, December, January. That game against Burnley, we absolutely played them off the park and should have beat the team fairly comfortably in the last 15, 20 minutes away from home. Should have beat the team who just got up in automatic playoff place. And that was what, February? I think that was the night the wheels came off and we realised we're not going to get in the top two. And Wilson Isidore missed 2 penalties. But that wasn't too long ago. And I think that was a turning point. It was a turning point in the season. We realised we weren't going to get in the top 2. And we were in such a strange position that we were so far away from 3rd and so far away from 5th that we've known for so long we were going to come 4th. And I mean, I'm just arguing the point as well. I don't know if this is true or not, but I think this has took 10% off our performance, 15% of our performance. And we've still lost games by the odd goal. I was at the Blackburn game. You know, we were attacking most of the game. They scored a goal. Same against QPR the other day. I'm hoping and praying and expecting that the urgency will be back Friday night. And I hope he's got a few little things up his sleeve to surprise people. You know, a few maybe tactical changes that he hasn't wanted to show in these last 5 games that he hasn't wanted to give away to the opposition. We may see, I don't know, I'm guessing, we may see Enzo Lafay starting in the centre. He hasn't really played him there at all. So yeah, I'm coming at it from your way. I'm trying to be optimistic still, Dan, but I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
Mate, Dermot, honestly, I hope I'm wrong and you're right. I'll get you a drink when I see you, for sure.
That's it, isn't it?
But we're talking about turning points, right? And I think we've mentioned there a couple of turning points, especially like the 2 missed penalties at Burnley, the last-minute goal against Leeds. But you could also... I mean, the point that you're making, Dan, about like being terrible, could that be like related to like the change of style or the seemingly change of style, which I kind of noticed in the end of October, beginning of November, when we had that 5 draws in a row, we lost to Sheffield United away. I think for me, that was the first big turning point of the season.
Indeed. I mean, I didn't mean terrible, but I could see the dip of the form. The way we were playing was nothing to do with the previous few months. That's what started to worry me. They were not terrible. I mean, we were just not the same team. That's probably what I meant to say. And you're right, because I think we started to play more defensively. I mean, look at the second half against Leeds. We were battered. We could not cross the halfway line. I mean, with all my respects to Leeds, we are almost equal to them. But we accepted to defend deep from the first minute of the second half. And you can't do that.
We were a goal up against the team that were top of the league. And the other point I'd make out there is that Lee mentioned Sheffield United away. It's one of the best performances of the season when we got beat. We were absolutely all over them. Tommy Watson had his one good game, I think, in the Sunderland shirt.
That is true. Sheffield United and Burnley away, they were top games. We absolutely outplayed them. But against Leeds, first half, very clever, very tactical. Second half, a disaster. A full disaster. I don't care how good Leeds are. We have enough to not play like this. But anyway, it's one game. I mean, it's how many games we lost in the last seconds, or how many games we had a draw in the last seconds. Probably 13. I think I was counting them. How many points we dropped. I know this is football, it's happening, but for us, it's happening too often. I don't know what it is.
And I think the worry is the only team that has battered us all season, because I don't think we've lost by more than one goal to anyone except Coventry away when they beat us 3-0. And we were poor that day, definitely. Bullied out for and well beaten that day. But apart from that, I don't think anyone's beat us by 2 goals or more, have they?
Oxford recently, that was it.
There might be one. Oxford, yeah, that was it, just now.
Yeah, but Dermot, you mentioned there, for example, like the big games, like Leeds and Burnley and Sheffield United. And Lebris actually referenced these today in his press conference, saying that we have shown that when the stakes are high, we can rise to the challenge and we can match them. So, and he got mentioned then in the press conference, what about the Coventry away game? And he said it was basically the end of a cycle, international break coming up, players were tired, and it showed. Was it not a bit of a worry, though, that the way the players didn't perform at all in the last 5 games, that you can just suddenly, like as you mentioned before, flick this switch? I mean, Gary Bennett on Total Sport was saying that once you lose a couple of games in a row, or several in our case, that losing mentality can start to sink in, and it's kind of hard to turn against the tide. Would you agree with that or not?
I think the other thing I've heard as well being mentioned in the last couple of days is it's a different competition, and they've got to take it like that. They've got to take the mentality like that. That competition's finished. We knew we were in 4th. I was thinking about this the other day as well. I'm thinking, were these players, were they actually playing for their positions? Because nobody was really competitively looking like they were playing for the position. So, I mean, I don't know, would Regis Lebris have gone all the way to the point of telling them 5-6 games ago what a starting 11 is going to be? And, nobody had to competitively fight for a place in the first 11. I don't know. I'm just guessing maybe that has been the case, and he's just saying, look, lads, don't put your foot in, don't get a booking, don't get a red card, don't get injured. This is going to be my starting 11 in the playoffs. And then the other thing that you mentioned on that, when the stakes are high, I was just thinking about as well. We've got a lot of kids. We've got a lot of kids who have played without fear. Mentioned Tommy Watson away at Sheffield United. Chris Rigg has at times played without fear. 17, 18-year-olds. We need Bellingham to play without fear when the stakes are high in this big game. And we just got to hope that these things all come together. I think, as I've mentioned on here a few times, Enzo Lafay is going to be massive in these games. I think we need Wilson Isidore back again. We need Mundell to play some part. He's not going to play in the first game, it looks like, but we need him back. So, yeah, we need all these big players to come back and show us some of this form that we know we've seen this season. We've seen moments of it in the big games against the big teams. But, it is a bit baffling, the last 5 games. The defeats, the last 2 months, the last 3 months. You could go back and say since Christmas, but I think there's been moments since then where we have looked like the team that came in 4th position. Somebody has to come in 4th every year. We're in 4th. We've got more points than Coventry. We weren't panicking at the end of the season like Coventry were up until the last game. All these things, that's what I'm clinging to. All of these things I'm clinging to in the hope that we can flick the switch at the weekend.
Yeah. Dan, you made a good point there. For example, that, 5-6 games ago when we qualified for the playoffs, we knew that. Do you think, like, Lebris might have said, okay, I've got my starting 11 in mind for the playoffs. Do you think that might have changed now after what you've seen over the last 5 games? Do you think some people have their place in jeopardy?
Well, he knew who is coming back from injury. So he had that in mind. But what worries me is that these players coming from injury, they're not much fit. They haven't played for so long. how can you rely on so many people? I mean, I don't know the squad yet, but how can you rely on some? Let's say Mando is back, Danny Ballard is back. If we get all these Sirkin, if we get all these people not much fit, and you're thinking, well, they're going to do the miracle now in the semis, they could, of course, they could, but equally they might fail to do that again. I would like to see Lefebvre in the middle, behind Isidore, not on the left. That would be a massive, massive change because he never felt comfortable on the left. We know he's a good player, but I'd like to see what he's going to do in his desired position. And I think now we might rise to the occasion, and then players know in their minds that this is the most important game of the season. After, I think I've read an article from I Love Supreme, I think it was. Someone said, well, the 10 months of pre-season is over. Now is the time to perform. Now is the time to show us what you can do. And now is the time to make us proud again.
Well, it's exactly that, because that's what like Lebris has basically been saying, that we'll be ready for the playoffs. So they have to show it.
I hope he's right, and I hope he knows what he's doing. I know he's got a plan A and B. I'm sure players will be up for it. I just hope as well that no one's going to do anything silly to get a red card or like a silly penalty. And then hope for the best. But like, I would love to see beating Coventry, because you guys know better than me the history between the two clubs, the two relegations in the 76-77 season and 96-97 season. And then I know there's a love affair there, and I would love to beat them this time.
Yeah, I mean, in his pre-match interview today, Dermot, he mentioned that Elise and Mundell may not be ready for Friday. Is that just mind games, or?
Could be. In the case of Mundell, could be that he's keeping them in reserve, but it is a risk. We know that it's a risk throwing anyone back who hasn't been playing in the first game back. But Mundell, I think, is worth the risk. He gives us something different on the left-hand side. He attacks teams. He attacks players. He gets us going forward and looking more positive than we have in recent games. He's been a bit of a revelation this year. I remember going to one of the first games of the season away at Plymouth, and he was the substitute coming in for the fellow we sold to Ipswich.
Jack Clark.
He was Jack Clark. He was the man who was to replace Jack Clark. They realised how good Mundell was going to be. They knew more than we did that Mundell was good enough to replace Jack Clark, and Jack Clark was worth taking the money for and putting Mundell straight in. So big names. I don't think Elise would feature really at the minute, will he? I mean, we're fairly comfortable at the back. We've got 3 centre halves. One of the tactical things that he could do is go 3 at the back and play 2 wing backs, and play Ballard and 09 and Mepsom at the back. Play the 3 centre halves at the back away at Coventry. I don't know if that's something he might be thinking about doing or not. There's a couple of things he might do, but we've got people back. It's about 3 weeks for still till the Wembley final, so Mundell could be back for that, fit and raring to go. But I don't think he's going to make it for Friday night. I think the one thing we've mentioned, cards up his sleeve, the one thing he might do, because he knows the guy, he knows how good he is. He might start with Lefebvre in the centre midfield, and he might purposely have been reserving that, keep him on the left, not show people,
what he can do.
We see the team sheet Friday night and Lefebvre's starting in the middle. That's what I've been thinking he might do, but we're second guessing out in the minute.
Yeah. Daddy, it's funny because Lebri's press conference mentioned that some players might be disappointed that they're not playing on Friday. So does that suggest that there could be a few surprises?
Well, you never know, of course. I mean, if he had something in his head, perhaps we're going to see a few players drop to the bench, and then that is actually normal. I mean, obviously he knows better than us who is ready mentally, physically. He knows what he wants from his squad, particularly now when we're going to be away from home. So we're going to be a little bit more tight at the back. We're not going to be that risky. We're just going to keep it tight and play like with no mistakes and try to counter-attack, be clever about it and nick a result. I mean, it's about the results, isn't it? Forget about performances now. These 3 games, well, 2 or 3, it's about performance. It's about the result, because performance. Obviously, if you manage to do it, a good result with a good performance, that is a bonus.
Yep. Yeah. What was I going to say? Right. So early in the season, we played Coventry at home, and we had probably one of the best 45 minutes of the season with 2 corkers from Isidore and Serkin. And then the second half of that, we probably saw one of the worst performances. And then away from home, we saw probably the worst performance of the season. Does that have an impact psychologically, do you think, that we haven't beaten them and that Coventry have that little edge?
Perhaps it might, along with losing 5 games on the trot, and perhaps, but once that ball rolls on Friday night, once that these guys I'm coming up with arguments to be optimistic and positive as well. You know what it comes down to sometimes as well? They're all playing to double and triple and quadruple the wages next season. So these guys are going to be up for it on Friday night, and they're not going to be worried about how many times we've lost to Coventry and how many, they're going to be thinking Premier League in 3 months' time. I listened to Marco on the radio phone in as well, and he comes at it from like an old grizzled football professional kind of point of view. He says runs mean nothing and form means nothing, and we've never beaten Coventry for so many years or whatever. Players don't care about that. When the game starts, they'll be up for it. They'll be we're looking for positive things to cling on to. That's the biggest one. They're looking to treble and quadruple their wages next year in the Premier League. They'll be up for it, and we've just got to hope that they get a good result. And just go back to what we mentioned before about surprises and team choice. I think the big one is Wilson Isidore or Mayenda up top, and is there space for whoever gets that position? Is there space for the other one on the left-hand side, perhaps, as well? Or could Wilson Isidore be sat on the bench? Because he has quite a bit recently. He hasn't shown much form. We know he's a great player on his day. He scored some good goals this season, but he's another one that we need. We need fire, and we need him on the pitch, and we need him scoring goals. But we'd like to see Mayenda on the pitch as well. So,
yeah. All right. Well, Danny, I'll put those 2 points to you, Danny. First of all, do you think the psychological advantage that Coventry came back from 2-0 down, beat us 3-0, has a psychological edge over us? And what do you think about Dermot's posing question there about Isidore Mayenda up top, and if there's space for the other one?
Well, I know Isidore didn't play well in the last few games, but I think this is more to do with the way we play as a team. He was isolated up front. He was frustrated, and he didn't have enough passes to him to run towards the goalkeeper. And I think this is part of it. I mean, when the whole team is not performing and he's suffering, then the striker is suffering as well. You can't just blame him. I mean, it's the whole team, really. So
I think as well, Danny, if you look at Mayenda's performance against QPR, he was also anonymous. But if that had been Isidore, I think Isidore would have received more criticism than Mayenda did.
Yeah. And then obviously Mayenda scored this unique goal, and then people thinking start him. Mm-hmm. But I always believed in them 2 playing together, because when they play together, it's like they're so much more dangerous. And we've seen so many goals from these 2 lads combining to the front. And then ideally, for the home game, I'd like to see them both on the pitch and we go and attack, because I don't like to sit back. I don't like defending. I mean, I know we need to be clever, but I'd like to see my team attacking, being brave, and bold and go forward. And in this respect, our players shouldn't be worried about the results against Coventry. As Dermot said, we need to concentrate on these bloody 2 games on a Friday and Tuesday. Show us how good you are. Show us the desire. Show us 100% on the pitch. And then fans will go crazy. And then I'm pretty sure most players had this in mind in the last few games where they're thinking, I don't want to get injured now. I don't want to miss this trip. Could be to Wembley. And they were thinking, well, I'm not going to force myself too much. I wanna save myself for the most important games of the season. Surely everyone is thinking like that, because I think I would do the same thing if I was out there. I'll be extra cautious if there's a slight opportunity to get an injury or like anything else and miss the games. So I think mentally they need to be strong as well, because there will be some hard times during the game where they need to be like digging in, and they need to be like strong and stay together and like help each other. And then I think the lads have got it. They showed so many times a great unit, and in terms of that, I believe in them.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think I would go for the player in form at the minute for the forward. I think the player in form at the minute is Mayenda, right, Dermot? I mean, Isidore hasn't scored in what 9-10 games or even more. I think I'm just looking now. When we played Coventry last, who played up front for that game? I don't know if it was Mayenda who started or Isidore. It was Mayenda. It was Mayenda who started that game.
They've kind of alternated the two. I don't think he knows who his best furthest forward player is. I'm thinking what he might do and what he could do, because he's not going to play Tommy Watson on the left, surely.
No.
Surely. I think he's been given games at the end there to rest players and to not show his plan. I wouldn't be surprised if both of them started, one on the left and one up front. You could put Mayenda on the left, or you could put Lefebvre on the left and Mayenda more centrally, or you could put Wilson on. You could put Wilson Isidore on the left as well. He came to us recognised as a left-sided attacking player. I know he's played a couple of times there, hasn't looked great. And going back about what we said about his form, he hasn't looked great since he missed those penalties at Burnley, and it was about the same time he signed a contract as well, where he got signed and got his contract. So that's an old one. And with footballers, once they get their contract, they're down tools and they're not working as hard as they were before. So hopefully he can flick the switch as well if he is involved.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, optimism. I mean, we got that first half performance at the Stadium of Light where we like tortured them. But then, if I'm looking at the team sheet now from when we played them a few months ago, we got beat 3-0. It was pretty much our strongest team apart from Lefebvre. It was like Patterson in goal, Trey Hume, Mepham, O'Nien, Serkin, Roberts, Neil, Bellingham, Mundell, Rigg, and Mayenda. So, do you think he might try something? I personally, I wouldn't start Chris Rigg on Friday. I think I would go for someone like Alan Brown.
I wouldn't start Chris Rigg.
I would go for Alan Brown. I think a little bit more experience especially in the away leg. I think that would be more important. Dan?
Well, it's hard to say what's going to be best. I mean, I would probably lean a little bit over to Alan Brown because of his experience. But on the other hand, Chris Rigg has got more energy. He's like braver. He's like he can do the runs. Where Alan Brown, for me, doesn't seem that fit. And that's what worries me about him. I know he's experienced and he can probably have a good 60 minutes on the pitch, but it's hard to say what's good, what's not. I mean, to be honest, the chances are 50-50 in these kind of games. You know,
I'm thinking neither of them play. Neither of those two you mentioned played. Brown or Rigg, and Lefebvre plays in the centre with Job and Dan there.
Yeah.
As his surprise, his cards that he's never shown before, and then you got Mayenda on the left or or up front and Wilson as well.
Well, I tell you what, Dermot, you've always believed that this is like some kind of master plan from Lebris, and I think you're sticking to your guns, aren't you?
I'm hoping something like that. I mean, it's impossible to second guess what the starting 11 is going to be, but I don't think it's a master plan. But I think some people have over-egged the whole thing. Like they've been bad, but they've been guaranteed fourth position for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm sticking with. Anyhow, that's what I'm hoping. Anyhow.
Right. Well, Danny, we're going to wrap up in a minute, right? But before we go, how would you like to see us approach the game on Friday? I mean, given that it's the first leg away from home, I mean, in previous seasons, we've always had the home leg first, haven't we? I think we had the home leg against Luton, against Sheffield Wednesday. This time we've got the away leg first.
Right. I mean, what I've noticed over the probably for the whole season is that we always start slowly. The first 20 minutes, we start really slowly, and quite often we concede goals. This mustn't happen. It's away, first leg. The first 20 minutes, we need to be really on it. We need to be really tight. No mistakes, no risks. We need to try and keep the ball possession and try to ruin their game plan. We mustn't concede early goal. It's a rule number one. The crowd will get going if we can see that. They will start panicking, and it could be another disaster. So if we start like on a positive with not conceding a goal, and then slowly open more and like use every chance to counter-attack, because at the end of the day, when you're away from home, you're not going to be having 70% of the ball, are you?
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to be. I mean, I suppose we're going to try and press later on and try to force them to make mistakes. But I think the most important thing is not to concede earlier on in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dermot, thoughts on the approach?
Yeah. I mean, it's the first leg away from home. We want to get them back with a decent result. Caution, play on the counter attack. We have got fast players, as we said. Mayenda, Wilson, Isidore, get them on the counter attack. Play with caution, and I think we have done that most of the season. As we said before, we've only lost 2 games by more than 1 goal. Even a defeat by 1 goal on Friday night would not be seen as a disaster. We'll get them back at home on the Tuesday night and have a right go at them. A draw would be a good result. A win would be a fantastic result. So, yeah, caution and on the counter attack.
Right,
is what I'm expecting.
I'm going to end the podcast on that positivity, because I don't want to end on a negative. Right. So anyway, listen, we'll wrap up now, lads. Thanks for your time. We'll go and watch Arsenal against PSG, and we'll get ready for Friday. And well, listen, how are the lads? We can do it, right? Can't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Keep the faith. Keep the faith.
Keep the faith. How are
I
the
want to
lads?
I want to have a quick prediction.
Go on then, if you want. I don't want to make predictions for this because I'm always wrong.
I'll say we'll get a draw. We'll get a draw. I don't know what. 0-0, 1-1, 2-2 draw.
Okay.
Back and beat them.
Dan, do you want to go for it, or do you want to sit on the fence?
My favourite prediction is 1-0 to the lads. But I don't want to say anything now. I just want them to perform. I want them to perform and to show like 100% for the fans.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'll be back in the morning. I've got a podcast in the morning with a workmate who's a Coventry fan, so I'm doing a preview with him. And then I know. Yeah. So there could be fireworks at work on Saturday when I go to work. And we'll also be back on Friday evening with a live stream YouTube preview as well once Team New comes out. Okay, so if either you gents want to join us for that, I've got a couple of guests already, so we'll have a chat. But anyway, how are the lads? And see you later.
Cheers, Lee.
Cheers. How are the lads? See you now.